and it's a pleasure to have you here. Today we want to look at the break-even analysis, which is a very important part of the IB Business and Management syllabus, and also for those who are doing the CAPE Management of Business program. So when we talk about the break-even analysis, this is a very important analysis for new businesses, because once there's a startup, then they would need to do what is called a break-even analysis in order to know how much they're producing and how much they're also spending. So break-even is simply where your total revenue equals the total cost. And here we have some different terms that it is very important for you to know these terms, because if you're given a question, you need to know whether or not they're asking you to calculate the break-even quantity, the break-even revenue, or you should do the break-even point. Okay, so the break-even quantity, this is the level of sales or output where the costs equal the revenue. So here we're looking at units, as the word suggests here. It's about quantity. Then we have what is called the break-even revenue. This is the level of sales revenue being earned by the firm at the break-even level of output. So let's say the break-even level of output is, say, 1,000 units, then whatever we're earning should equal to that 1,000 unit to find the break-even revenue. And then we have here what is called the break-even point. So once you see the break-even point, you know that this is where you're going to be creating a graph, because the break-even point is the position where the total revenue line crosses the total cost line, and that is very important for you to highlight and to know. In calculating break-even, there are three methods. Okay, you can use the table method, you can use a formula, or you can use a graph. It is important for you to have an understanding of each. So it doesn't matter if you're given a table or a formula or a graph, then you would definitely know how to handle yourself during your examination. Now, when it is time for you to calculate the break-even, right? These are some things that you need to look for in the question, right? You need to be able to extract the total fixed cost, the unit variable cost, and also the selling price or the average revenue, okay? So all of this is important in setting the foundation in doing the break-even analysis. Next, we're going to be looking at how to use each of these methods. Okay. So now we're going to continue, and this time what we're going to do is to look at how we can do the break-even using a table. Then we're going to look at a graph, and then we're going to look at the formula. Okay, so this is my little board here that I have. Not so neat, but we can use it to accomplish what we have here. Now, there are some assumptions in break-even. Okay, when we're calculating break-even, we're saying that all the goods that we would have produced are actually sold, right? That's one assumption. There's the assumption that the variable cost, it is proportionate with the amount of goods we produce. So these are assumptions. So let's take the assumptions here that we have units, sales revenue, unit cost, variable cost, total cost, and then we have the profit. Now we're going to use this table to solve what is the break-even, where the total cost equals to our total revenue. All right, so here we have 0 units. That means that we haven't started producing anything. It means that if we don't have anything in the warehouse, we can't have any sales. Goods will not be on the market. But then there's some fixed costs. As you know, these are costs that are not proportionate with the amount of goods that we're producing. So this could be for rent, is a fixed cost. Okay, we don't have any variable cost because we're not producing anything. Hence, our total cost will be 50,000. Okay, But because we haven't sold anything, then our profit now would be at a negative 50,000. But let's say then we know we are in the production line, we've started production, and we produced 2,000 units, and we're taking everything, the assumptions that everything here, these things are proportionate. So the sales unit then is 30,000, so we're assuming that. Our fixed cost remains the same, which is 50,000. As you remember, fixed cost, it remains the same. It doesn't have anything to do with the amount of goods we're producing. Then we have the variable cost, which we're going to say 10,000 to produce 2,000 units, all right? Good, and then we could find out how much to produce one, which means then our total cost here would be 60,000, which is our fixed cost plus the variable cost. So let's make a note of that. And I'm going to take up this. So let's find our total cost. So we could say total cost is fixed cost plus our variable cost, right? And the variable cost, I'm putting the X here because the variable cost is proportionate to how much we're producing. So we could say that, all right? Now, the next thing we have on the table here is the profit. How do we find profit? So we could say profit is revenue minus our cost, okay? We could say that to find the profit. So here, in this case, our total cost is 60,000, okay, the cost. And our revenue here is 30. So 60 from 30 it gives us a negative 30,000. So I hope you're seeing what I'm doing there. Now, let's say we're continuing with production. We produce 4,000 units now, and remember, if it is 30,000 to produce 2,000 units, with all things being equal, it would be 60,000 to produce 4,000 units. This remains the same. The variable cost is proportionate with what we're producing. So 2,000 units, we're spending 10,000 to create the 2,000 units. Therefore, if we're producing 4,000 units, it would be 20,000. Okay, so what again is our total cost? Total cost, fixed cost plus variable cost. Fixed cost is 50, variable cost is 20. So 20 plus 50, 70. How do we find the profit? Profit, revenue less the cost. What is the revenue? 60,000 less the 70,000, which gives us 10,000. So let's look at this now. If we're moving up 30, 60, 2,000 units, we made 30,000. 4,000 units, we made 60,000. What would be the assumption if we were to create 60,000? Or what would be the assumption if we were to, if we have 5,000 units? All right. So now we could also find the selling price of, or the price or the cost to produce one unit, or we could find the selling price. All right, because we know in order to find revenues, so revenue equal to quantity times the price. Okay, and if the quantity here is 2,000, how do we get the 30,000? It's 30,000 divided by 2,000. All right. So that would give us 15, okay? So if we times a 15 to this, we will get the 30,000, all right? So where we left off a while ago is that we said that in order to find the selling price, we would just need to divide the sales unit by the sales revenue by the unit, which is 30,000 divided by 2,000. And we would know that the selling price would be 15. Okay, so if it is 15 times 2,000, 30,000, 15 times 4,000, 60,000. So we could say 15 times the 5,000 here. All right, so our quantity is 5,000 times the 15, and we know that this will give us 75,000. All right, So here we know that this would be 75,000. Now, fixed costs, would that change? No, because fixed costs, it remains the same. All right, so we can put back our 50,000 here. Now, our variable costs, if it takes 10,000 to create 2,000 units, 20,000 to create 4,000 units, how much would it then cost us now to create 5,000 units? An easy way to do this, we could say 1,000 unit is 5,000, so we could say 5, 10, 15, 20. We know that this is going to be 25,000. Okay, so what is our total cost here? Total cost, remember, fixed cost plus variable cost. Fixed cost, variable cost, so that is 75,000. What is our profit? Profit, revenue less cost. What's our revenue? 75,000. What's our cost? 0. So right here we know that this is our break-even point. We would need to have 5,000 units on the market which are fully sold in order to recover our cost of 75,000. So this is where we're seeing the total revenue equals the total cost. So total revenue, which is 75, and our total cost is 75. So that is the break even. Now, how much more do we need to produce in order now for us to start break even? It would be anything over the 5,000. So we're producing in bulk. So let's jump to 6,000. All right. So how would we work out the 6,000? Now we know that this is 6,000. What would be our sales revenue for 6,000? This would be 6,000. So this would be 6,000 times 15. Okay. And your 6,000 times your 15 will give you 90,000. Okay. Will the fixed cost change? No, it remains the same. Okay. Now, will your variable cost change now? So 2, 4, 6. So we could say 10 for 2. And again, we could do the 5 because 1 would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then we know that this will be 30,000. Okay. All right. So what's our total cost here? Total cost again, fixed cost plus variable cost. Okay, fixed cost, which would be 80,000. All right. What would be our profit? Our profit would be 10,000. All right. So if we want to find now the profit, we would need to start producing any amount over 5,000. All right. So this is the way that we can use the table when we're doing the break-even analysis. It's a very simple way, and once you are clear on it, then it would make it easier for you when you're preparing your graph. All right. Thank you for watching.